Hey everyone, this is Pedro here again. Today I'm accompanied by my good friend Matt once again. We decided to do this episode. It's kind of a special episode because I think this situation that's going on right now in the world of gaming needs to be talked about because it's a huge thing that we're seeing happening right now. So I think you probably know already what it is based on the title itself, but one of the biggest games ever has just been released for PC, Xbox, and PS4. Cyberpunk 2077 has been out for almost 2 weeks. Not there yet, but almost 2 weeks. It's been one of the most anticipated games of all time for a while now. Like a lot of people have been writing on this game. Like this is gonna be the next step in gaming. Like this is gonna be the future. This is where gaming is headed, and the game is out, and apparently it runs good on high-end PCs. The rest, yeah, if you don't have an high-end PC, you're kind of screwed. So there's a lot of
Nothing
things.
poor, bro. Come on.
There's a lot of things happening surrounding Cyberpunk, and we're gonna talk about them. But I'm just gonna give. I think we should give you a little bit of context. So, the game is running very well on high-end PCs, and even medium, like fine PCs, is running decently. But here, the problem here is CD Project Red. Uh, First of all, they only gave away PC copies to the reviewers. So any console player that would like to review the game had to wait until December 10th to play the game and review it on that platform. Not only that, they didn't allow for almost the day of the release of the game. So they didn't allow until December 9th at night, I think, footage to be up. So if you wanted to review Cyberpunk, they would give you footage for you to use on your review, but that's about it. You couldn't use your own footage, and they gave this. I'm gonna call it shitty because it is a shitty excuse saying, "Oh, we don't want the game to be spoiled. Like the reviewers were gonna spoil the game, and we don't want you to suffer because of the reviews. So here is a footage that we picked ourselves that you can use." So they gave the reviewers footage for them to use, and if they wanted to use their own footage, they could use after like December 9th. I remember which time, but it was pretty late. After the release of the game, the truth came out, and the game is considered really bad on console. It runs badly on PS5. It runs kind of badly as well on PS4 Pro, and it's basically unplayable if you have a base PS4. On Xbox, I think the situation is very similar, although I've heard Xbox does run a little bit better than PS4, but it's still pretty bad. And people started finding out that the reason why they didn't want to release the footage was because the game was basically unplayable and it had a lot of bugs, which is really, really bad. Not only that, a few days after the game released, there was an article that came out that said the game featured a lot of flashing light sequences and the game had no warning for for those type of sequences, and basically CD Projekt Red basically gave this half-assed excuse like, we updated with a warning and we're gonna add something to take out those sequences, and that's when everything started to derail. Like the bugs, problems, and then this like flashing light sequences. That's when the game started going a pretty bad route. After a while, people were complaining. A lot of people were complaining. A lot of people were saying that the game was unfinished. And CD Projekt gave another apology, saying, "We're sorry that the game is not up to its potential. We will refund everyone, and if you bought we will refund everyone that bought the game through their system, their page. I don't remember the name of the page, but through their page. If you bought it from other companies, you get in contact with them to take care of your refund," which was really, really bad response in my opinion. And now this is the latest news. Actually, there's been two news, but one is not one is not very like in line with Cyberpunk. It's more in line with the company itself. But the other news is Sony officially took out Cyberpunk of the PSN store. If you want to get the game, I think your only way is to get it physically. Because if you want digitally, you're out of luck. Um, and Sony is refunding everyone who got the game. So we start to talk about this because I think this is a very, I mean, Cyberpunk did want to go down in history as like one important game, and it kind of went down as one in history because we're going to remember this situation because I've never witnessed anything like this. This is the first time I'm witnessing such a catastrophic launch for a game. I don't remember. I think that the closest game I remember being like this was Fallout 76. Like that's the closest I remember to being this like such failure per se, and I think Cyberpunk is even worse than than Fallout 76. So we want to talk about this because this has been like basically every news that came out of the gaming world. It's somehow related to Cyberpunk. So Matt, I'll give you, since I've already said everything I think it needed to be said, I'll give you the word now.
Yeah. Holy crap. Like that's just you just hear that list of like stuff on and on and on. Now Xbox is like
Oh,
the
they're
fact that
also, yeah.
they're also giving refund. The fact that Xbox and Sony are like united in this.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention this all just piled up on the various like reports that came out before the game was even out about the fact that the developers were crunching really hard. Like
yeah. And that
a
just
lot
makes it
of
like that's
developers were working 16 hours a day to get
yeah, and
this game out.
that just makes it worse. Like I can't
Exactly.
like you did all this to your like it's so bad for the developers because now they're gonna have to crunch some more. They're gonna like have to crunch just to make the game workable now.
They're gonna
And
have to crunch a lot more.
and if they because right now they're gonna get like completely crapped on from their bosses and from fans. And
Yep.
it's like I feel so bad for them because they're stuck in the middle of this. They probably like we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so it's not like it's a lot harder to like find a new job. It's not like we can quit. And just good lord, and it's just blatantly lying to people. Which like, and I get if like there's a few glitches and like let's downplay it a bit, but like no, it's unplayable in multiple consoles and platforms. Like, and they like just forcing reviewers to use like the company stock footage like
Yeah,
that
it's
that
really
has to
bad.
be like I really actually hope that this creates some kind of change in where that's like illegal because like that shouldn't
That
they
was
shouldn't be
so
allowed to
weird to
do
me.
that.
Yeah, it was so
They
weird to me.
shouldn't.
I've never heard that. Did you ever see that?
Yeah,
I understand if imagine like okay, so we tested out the game and we couldn't show you our footage because it was like early development. So
yeah, like
here's the
I
footage.
totally get
That's
that.
fine, but this is the
The one
review
it's for
purpose.
yeah, when it's for a review, you should be like one of my favorite gaming channels called Game Ranks does
Just
like a
gaming.
before yes, that too. There's a thing called Before You Buy where they use their own footage
Yes.
and it's unedited and it's just them playing the game. And like that's great. It really helps me get a feel for the game. Uh, like and you can't hide anything. But oh my god. And then I there's this article came out on Bloomberg where they
You,
had a staff meeting
yeah. It
about
just came out. It just
yeah,
came
like
out. Yeah.
literally just came out. And let me tell you, some of the like
So
oh my gosh.
basically,
They had this so
during
they had
okay,
a
yeah, you
meeting
can
about
yeah go ahead.
where the developers got to ask like the higher ups or whatever about like what's going on. And one of the questions they asked was, do they think that is hypocritical to make a game about corporate exploitation while expecting their employees to work overtime? And said the response was vague and non-committal.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
other
uh,
question they asked was basically, why did you say the game was done in January when it was
yeah,
clearly not done at all?
yeah. And they're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, we'll take responsibility for it." So it's like you're not like upset that did. You're upset that you got caught.
yeah.
And like I said, like it's just thing after thing after thing. And this meeting was before Sony pulled the
Oh, it
game
was
from their
okay.
digital store. Like, and in that meeting, they're like, "Oh, we've reached an agreement with Sony." So, like, the developers' basically consensus is that it was clear from the get go that this project was so horribly managed. Every single deadline was unrealistic, and all the developers knew it, and they weren't listened to. And this is what happened. Like companies need to apparently learn this lesson time and time and time again. When your workers on the ground floor, and I get you need to have like a vision, and I get that like this is why I think, especially in video games, you should just not have deadlines. You shouldn't
Yep.
announce your game until you know, okay, like I would even be fine with, okay, a few months from now, we're gonna release the game. Like, don't announce your game
Yes.
until it's actually like playable. I know that that's probably radical or something, but like look at like Dragon Age. They announced the sequel a couple years ago, and they just released a CGI trailer. Like, they probably haven't even started the bulk of development yet, and yet they're hyping it up. Like this culture of like we need people to know, we need people to know, we need to set deadlines. People are really impatient. Like it's such like it hinders everything. I think, and
Um.
clearly it's not like
Yeah.
they like people are like, oh well, they made a huge profit on the game. It's like yeah, but their stocks on Friday for CD Projekt Red went down 17%,
Yeah. They
like
keep going.
17%,
I think it's
which will
at 19
probably
right now.
yeah, which will probably
Keep going.
eradicate any profit that they made for the year. I, it's just
Um.
it's infuriating that they blatantly right, abused their staff, and now that the staff are asking these questions, like it's like yeah, a monkey could have like anticipated these problems.
You remind me of
Ugh.
Tropic Thunder. There's a scene in Tropic Thunder where he turns to his guy. A brainless monkey could have done your job, and I mean that
Yeah.
literally. A brainless monkey could have done your job. Uh,
Ah.
Here's something also very. Here's people. Apparently, the only reason, the not the only, the second reason for Cyberpunk Siege Project for not giving footage, of course, was because of bugs, of course. But they want, and the other reason why they didn't give out PS4 codes is because, or Xbox codes, it was because they knew that those versions were bad, and they were going to affect the Metacritic score, and they wanted the Metacritic score to be 90, because if they got the Metacritic score of 90, the higher ups would get bonuses. The whole thing came out. I don't know who reported it, but someone reported that CD Projekt Red promised the higher ups bonuses if they got Cyberpunk over 90%. So if it was 90 or above, they would get bonuses. So they just gave the PC codes because they knew the PC version was the best one, was the one that was rating the best. So they knew that maybe that version would get the better rating. So they went ahead with that one and left the PS4 and Xbox version basically dead. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh, the it's just the base PS4." It's not. we have a friend, Raz has the game. He's playing on the PS5, and he said it's also very, very rough on the PS5. He's playing it on the PS5. He sent us a few screenshots. I swear that thing looks like a PS2 game. It looks really bad, and I think it has a lot of bugs as well, and crashes a lot of times. And that is just unacceptable. And it annoys me that I still see people defending the game. There's still people out there defending this game, saying, "Oh, Witcher also released with bugs and things like that. Skyrim, Bethesda games
Yeah,
also released with a lot of bugs.
I got
Sure, but we
I got
shouldn't settle
Skyrim
for this.
and no, absolutely not. Like I got Skyrim and Witcher on day one. There were there were bugs for sure, but there was nothing on the level of this. Like nowhere close.
And you
And I
can
had like
see,
a crappy PC back at the time too, like, not a mid-tier high.
and
Like
and people keep saying, "Oh, but it's the base PS4. It's a 7-year-old game. It's a 7-year-old console." Cyberpunk was announced in like 2012. It was gonna be made for the PS4. Sorry, it's 2012 or 2013, one of those. It was gonna be made for the next gen consoles. This console, sorry, the PS4, Xbox consoles. They knew what they were doing, and oh, the PS4 can handle games like this. I I had the base PS4. I played fully. I played Red Dead Redemption on my PS4 fully, and Red Dead Redemption is the biggest open world game I've ever played in my life. There hasn't been nothing quite like Red Dead, and I played the game smoothly. It was steady at 30 frames. I barely encountered any bugs. There were a few here and there. I barely encountered any bugs. The game looks beautiful. It's one of my favorite. It's one of the best looking games I own. I had to think of all of them, but it's one of the best looking games I own. Last of Us also works on the base. I played on base P4. Looks beautiful, and the game is, in my opinion, the best looking game ever made. Um, these excuses to try to compensate their, not compensate, but to try to I'm missing the word here, but to try to justify their purchases.
mm,
I think people are just trying to justify their purchase. I think people are just trying to see like, okay, this
yeah.
wasn't a bad deal. Like, it's not that bad. People are just overhyping. And it's funny because when the reviews dropped, GameStop gave the game 7 out of 10. Everyone attacked the poor reviewer. The poor reviewer, by the way, don't do that. You're an asshole if you do
Yeah.
that. Don't attack people for their own opinions. If they don't like something you like, that's fine. That's what keeps the world interesting. It's different approaches. Like, please stop that. Don't do that. Anyway, people attacked her, and now that the game, now that the game is out, and people are actually complaining about the game, everyone is already backing her up and saying, "Oh, you're like the only one who speak the truth." And she was like, "No, I speak what I felt about the game. That doesn't mean people play the game and can think it's amazing. They can. It's their opinion. That's why reviewers review the game so they can give their honest opinions."
Yeah,
When
especially
you
if it was like people playing on like high-end PCs.
and
Because
it's
if they're
so
like
annoying
reviewing,
because I remember someone saying like, um, I remember seeing someone say to the one of the IGN staff members like, "How did you if the game an IGN member, I can't remember his name right now, but I follow him on Twitter. He was complaining that he's not enjoying the game at all because he plays on the consoles, and
mm,
someone was like, if you if you play on the consoles and you think the game is bad, then why did you give the game a 9 out of 10?" He was like, "I didn't give the game a 9 out of 10. It was someone who reviewed the game that gave 9 out of 10. You guys have to understand, IGN has various
yeah,
reviewers. You hear
yep,
various different voices. You don't hear
mhm,
just one voice. If you want to hear someone's personal opinion, you go to their personal channel. You don't go to IGN to get personal opinions on games, and
yeah,
it's really bad. And something also, uh, this situation is awful. And by the way, if you ask me when the year started, what was my most anticipated game of the year, I would either say Last of Us or Cyberpunk. I
yeah.
was
No sense.
extremely
Cyberpunk
excited.
was
I
mine.
had Cyberpunk pre-ordered. I had
Mhm,
Cyberpunk pre-ordered. I was gonna get it when it was gonna launch on April. That was like the first one. I think it was April. Then they delayed it, and I actually canceled it because I was like, okay, it's coming. It's now coming close to the PS5, and I want to save money. I don't want to spend on a game and then
mhm,
spend extra on the PS5. So I'm gonna cancel it because I gotta arrange my priorities. and then the game was delayed again to December, and I thought about pre-ordering it again because now I have the PS5. I already had that expense, so I maybe can try to sneak in another game. I was actually debating on either Immortals or Cyberpunk, so I guess it's obvious which one I went for now.
Yeah.
And and I was like, okay, I might pre-order, but something in my head told me just wait, because when they delayed the game to December 10th, that's when the crunch thing started to come, and I
Mm.
was like, I'm gonna wait a little bit more. Then I'm gonna wait for the reviews to. I want to see if this game is actually good. And honestly, I have no intentions on getting this game until I actually see someone play it, someone I trust at least, someone play it and tell me yes, it's running really well. It has barely any bugs, because I don't think bugs are gonna go away when a game is this huge. So I think bugs will always exist in this type of games until someone tells me yes, the game is running well enough. It's pretty good. It's stable. You can get it. Then I'll get the game, because I still want to play it, because it looks like it's something I'm gonna enjoy. But I just can't support them right now, because I think the whole business behind Cyberpunk is disgusting, and I don't want this to become a thing. I don't want this. I don't want games to follow this ethic, because if they see that Cyberpunk is selling, why are they going to put more effort into the games if a half-assed game sells as well as this one? So it's really, and something that I also noticed, I don't know if I sent you the video, but a guy was playing the game and he was like, I'm actually disappointed with the game. I'm not even disappointed with the bugs or the crash. I'm disappointed at the world that they sold me on, because he was playing Cyberpunk and he compared all the he compared the Night City to GTA's 5 city. I can't remember is Los Santos? Is it?
Yeah,
I don't
Los
remember the
Santos,
name.
yeah.
Okay, they compared it. So GTA came in 2013, by the way, and he basically said, "Okay, here's me pointing a gun at someone on the street in GTA 5." So he points a gun at a random NPC, and the NPC actually reacts, and there's different reactions. He can either run, or he can fight you, or he has different dialogues. It depends on which NPC you're approaching. In Night City, sorry, Cyberpunk, you point a gun at someone, and everyone will just run away. They won't react, they won't say anything, they'll just run away. They did the same thing with driving. So apparently, so he was driving a car in GTA 5, and when you jump out of the car while driving, the game will show you like an animation where he basically demonstrates what would actually happen if you jumped out of a car in real life. So basically, he would fall the car, he would get some damage, and you would roll on the street. In Cyberpunk, when you get out of a car, your character just leaves the car. That's all that happens. Basically, you're riding, and if you leave the car, you see the car going forward, and your character stays still in the same spot as like you just got out of the car. And there's a lot of situations like this. He showed diving in Cyberpunk, the animations in Cyberpunk. He showed running someone over in Cyberpunk. He showed pointing a gun at a car in Cyberpunk. Nothing will happen if you point a gun at someone in a car. He'll just either just get out of the car and run, or he'll stay still and not do anything. And if you do this in GTA, this is like one of the most cool. It's one of the coolest things I like to do in GTA. Was basically, if you point a gun at someone in a car, two things might happen. Either one, they'll get out of the car and start running away. Two, they'll actually go around you and continue driving. Or three, they'll just get out of the car and try to fight you with a gun, which is also like, you see this develop. And this is something. Actually, I'm going to say something. When Cyberpunk came out, my respect for Rockstar grew, because Rockstar takes their sweet ass time with their games. People say, "Where's GTA 6?" And Rockstar can tell you GTA 6 will come out in 2023. People will riot against Rockstar.
No, again,
But
like that's why, like, it's like, don't say when your game's coming out.
Again,
your games aren't ready.
That's why my respect for Rockstar grew, because they don't do that. They say when the game is done, it's done. Don't rush us. Don't do this, because it's gonna get messy. And I swear, I don't remember a bad Rockstar launch. I don't. And I played Red Dead near the launch. I played in December. I think the game came out in November, and the game had barely any bugs. I think I encountered like a few, and they were very minor bugs.
And
And
yeah,
and I just yeah yeah sorry.
I just remember the very first reveal or announcement trailer which came out for Cyberpunk, which came out in like 2012, I think,
I think it was 20. I
maybe
don't. I'm gonna check, but I think it was 2012.
something,
Yes.
and it just ended with saying coming out when it's ready. And I remember
Did they? Did
thinking,
they?
yeah, it said coming out when it's ready. And I just remember thinking, like, that's so perfect. Like, that's so perfect. Like, just don't give us a release date. And then obviously it wasn't in development since 2012 or whatever. But like to see, and again, like going back to that Bloomberg article, like they're so hypocritical now. Like
Yeah.
they have this is in the article, they have "We Are Rebels" plastered all over their offices. And then they do this like horribly expletive sort of capitalist like mandatory crunch, like 6 day weeks, like when
Yeah. I just
and then
sorry.
when
I was
asked,
just watching.
oh
I was just watching the trailer. Yeah. It
yeah,
said coming and then two dots when it's ready.
yeah, and
Well,
then
they
like
should have
when
lived up to that trailer.
right, totally, and then it's like when asked about this crunch time in the Q&A, the directors said they had plans to improve production practices in the future, but didn't elaborate,
Yeah.
which to me sounds just like an empty promise. And like it's just so depressing. Like CD
Yeah.
Projekt Red after The Witcher 3, and now this makes me think maybe The Witcher 3's development was a mess as well.
Yeah.
Like because I remember they were right around the time when EA was like forcing microtransactions and like really getting into that and like doing their like insanely overly complicated anti-piracy stuff. Like I remember when Crisis 3 came out, like someone wrote an article saying like it's literally easier for me to pirate the game than it is for me to buy it legitimately. And at
Mm-hmm.
the time, they just dropped like 4 hours of free content on Witcher 2. And that was what got me interested in them. They're like, yeah, no, here's just thank you for playing the game. Here's 4 hours. Now I'm thinking, holy crap, did they like force their employees to like crunch that? And
Yeah.
then Witcher 3 came out, and it's still, in my mind, a masterpiece. But, like, holy crap, like, maybe that game was, like, 6 hour weeks, 6 day weeks. So now I'm like, they've gone from being honestly my favorite company in the games industry to now one of, if not my least favorite, just because of how they've handled this.
Which is weird.
Like,
Like
come
in
on,
a
like
year.
they're
That's a joke I did. Like, did someone put an hex on on CD
yeah,
Project? Because this was their year. Everyone was hyping this up,
yeah.
and it just all burst in their faces. It's so and like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it really pains me that people are still defending the game, and there's a lot of people still defending the game. Like, oh, it's just minor bugs. Just get over it. The game will eventually get patched. And to me, I know I'm going back to a topic where we're tired of, but I'm just gonna say it. To me, people going after this is what people should go after, not because of Last of Us about the different narrative choice, not go after. Okay, maybe go after EA for the microtransactions, but to me, this is even worse than microtransactions. At least Battlefront was kind of finished. Like I could play the
Yeah.
game.
Like,
I just had to put more money to fully enjoy the game, but the game was done. It was there. I could play it.
yeah,
And our biggest weapon against these corporations, it's our wallets. And I don't want to. If we don't support them, they'll correct these problems,
yeah,
these issues.
yeah. I mean,
They
look at
only listen to
EA.
money. Yes, yes, exactly. Look at EA. Um, we they didn't learn with Battlefront One. They kind of learned with Battlefront 2, but it was kind of a little too late because it was like the game is not good. If you're
Again, they
wondering,
like they poured years of content into that
yes,
game for
yes,
completely free. Like that, like
and
that's the power of our
I'm gonna
wallets.
bring
And
I'm gonna bring up the shitty game of 2020. No, it's not shitty for me,
yeah,
but it's, a lot of people find it shitty, but I don't care. Avengers is still gonna have a lot of content, a lot of support, because they know that they released the game. They know what they released, and they know that it's not enough to keep people invested on continuing playing. So they constantly adding new stuff every week. There's actually that's something I found out. So I recently, because now I'm kind of playing a lot of Avengers because it's an easy game to play. It's just because of that. And I recently joined a Facebook group, and apparently every week, Square Enix actually sends out a letter with everything that's being added each week. Because apparently there's new stuff every week. Either it's new
cool.
missions, new updates when it comes to the fixing. Like for example, oh, this looting system is not working just fine. It's kind of it's not working that well, and they'll be like next week, okay, we fixed that, and they keep fixing the game and they keep adding more stuff. They just released the Kate Bishop DLC, which I'm thinking of talking about that because I do believe that was a a great free edition. Nevertheless, it's a huge addition to the game. Um, and that's the and why is Square Enix putting so much work into Avengers? Is because Avengers didn't do that well when it came to either critics or sales. Because apparently, like it didn't even I don't think it even got to number one in their first week, and it's Avengers. It's like the right now, in my opinion, like the biggest property ever. No, not ever. Sorry. The right now it's the biggest property probably because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is like the biggest thing right now. So like a game about Avengers should sell. It's not selling well, and it just hurts me that people are justifying this game, this product, when it's clearly not in good condition. And I feel bad for everyone involved in it, other than the higher ups at CD Projekt. I feel bad for the developers because they crunch their asses off, and this is what they are going to be seen by, because whether they fix the game or not, the first impression is the one that sucks the most. For
Yeah.
example, I'm pretty sure Fallout 76 is now currently working just fine, but when I think of
Mhm.
Fallout, I think of the fucking disgrace it was when it came out, Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, again, same with Battlefront 2. Like, right now, it's a
yeah, yeah,
fantastic game, but it has a fraction of the player base that it could have had because of
yeah.
how horrible it
And
was at launch.
and that's the thing, and that's in my opinion, that's what's going on with Avengers. And
Hmm.
these aren't even bad. I don't think these are bad games when it came to the presentation. While Cyberpunk, it is a bad game when it comes to the presentation of the game. While Avengers and Battlefront were games that just didn't stick with the players because they felt there was too little to be had with the game. And Cyberpunk, it's just not working. It's literally not working. I've seen people play. I actually, one of my friends has a game, and he actually shared play with me. I couldn't even go through an area. I was trying to play the game and I couldn't. The controls weren't that good. Maybe it was because I was doing share play, probably. But after we were done doing share play, I watched him play a little bit. I swear there was like three NPCs just jumping around the map. It was so weird, and he was playing on the PS5, by the way. Uh,
Hmm.
it's not just the base PS4. It's
Yeah. Well,
everything.
but
It's
even that,
so.
like people are like, oh, it's the base PS4. Like, I have
It's
a
not.
base PS4, and Miles Morales looks incredible on it. I have a base PS4, and like I don't know, like Ghost of Tsushima looks incredible on it. Like that, it's such a stupid excuse. Like, oh, like, and the reason why I say
I
Miles is because it's cross-platform across
yeah.
PS4 and PS5. So like, that's not a good excuse.
No, and if you want to go with the argument that but Cyberpunk is a huge game, Red Dead is a huge game, and it works just fine on the PS4,
Yeah,
just fine. It works really really well.
yeah, runs
Like
beautifully.
it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, and I think these type of situations need to be fixed. And what Matt said is right. We gotta. I think as there's two sides here. I think as the companies needs to learn how to. They need to be realistic with their products. I know we live in a world where everything is just coming out like death. Like we're gonna have like 20 Marvel shows next year. We're gonna have like 20 Star Wars shows next year. We have a lot of games coming out, and the demand for stuff it's ever growing, and you want to be on top, so you want to release the best game
Yeah.
as soon as you can. But sometimes that's not the right approach. For example, Metroid Prime 4, a game that I'm super excited for. We haven't heard about the game in like 2 years. Okay, that's too much. Maybe a year. All we heard so far was that announcement, which to me is the best type of announcements. When I hate when they release cinematic trailers and they release a date attached to the cinematic trailer. I hate that because I know that's deceiving. Like I love God of War, but I don't believe the 2021 release for God of War 2. I simply don't. It's been 2 years. Either they've been secretly working this game since 2019 for some reason, which I still think is a little too less time. Like that's 2 years of development. I don't think that's too much for a game of this scope. I hate that I wish they would have just done something that actually Last of Us did and Uncharted did, which was yes, they released cinematic trailers, but the cinematic trailers were just to show you, hey, it's being done. We're working on it. There's no date. There's nothing. It's just an announcement that it is coming, and those are my favorite type of trailers. I think Suicide Squad this year was the same thing. They released just a cinematic trailer. It was just saying, hey, this game is being made. I don't remember if they attached a date, but I don't think they did attach a date. If to me, if you want to show a date, a release date, show something that reassures me that that date will be met. For example, when they said last God of War was going to be 2018, they actually gave us gameplay, like a big gameplay sequence, like it was almost like 15 minutes gameplay sequence, and that was like, okay, it looks like the game is on its way to come out in 2018, so I'm fine with that, but don't rush the games. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, sorry, I lost track. My example was with Metroid. I'm sorry. So they released the Metroid trailer. I just want to get that out of the way. They released Metroid trailer and they said it's now in development. That's all it was. It was a trailer confirming that yes, Metroid Prime 4 is coming. It's in development.
Yes.
There were no news about the game for like a year or 2 years. I don't remember. I really don't remember the timeline of Metroid. But it was a long time until there was a video of the president of Nintendo where he said, hey, Metroid is on its way, but we're not happy with the work we have so far. We're not happy how it's turning. I don't know, and I think it was they appreciated the team that was making the game, but they said their ideas and the work done so far didn't met Nintendo expectations, so they scrapped everything they had done and they restarted with another company. To me, I remember people being pissed, like, oh my god, so we're gonna wait even longer for Metroid. I just signed of relief. I was like, okay, so the game, they really trying to get us the best product, and if that means I have to wait 2 more years or 1 more year, that's fine. I don't care. I just want the best product. I don't want to play something that I'm just gonna say it's disappointing. So I think we gotta stop. I don't want to say pressure, but kind of pressure. I think
No, we
it's
got
both ways.
it's exactly
It's both
exactly
ways. Yeah,
no,
it's
but
both
like
ways.
exactly, we got to stop pressuring as fans. Like, come on, let's bring this out. Especially when like a game like Apex Legends comes out and they take their time with the content because they refuse to crunch. People are like complaining that there's not enough content, but like we have to support that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then because it's not going to be that corporate higher ups who change things. They're not going to go, oh yeah, this isn't really good. Like, clearly they're gonna do it for as long as they can get away with it. So it's like, sounds overly important or something, but like it is on us, on you, the consumer, to dictate this. And man, like, this is obviously just a mess. And I hope that the developers are able to recover from this, like, emotionally, mentally, financially, physically.
This is
And I hope
something.
that, like, I hope that this just creates sort of a chain reaction. This is an unfortunate thing that happens, but I hope that it results in like good change and also
Yeah.
like good God, like
Yes.
they really need to eat. Like maybe this is too political, but they need to unionize. Like come on,
Yes.
like this would not happen
Um,
if there was a
yeah.
union.
And
But
it
anyway,
pains me to know that if the game had come out perfect, the developers would get a rest. Like, okay, we don't have to overwork ourselves because the game is done. Obviously, they would keep patching, and obviously, I think there's this. Apparently, I don't know. They might scrap that. Actually, I think they might. I'm expecting them to actually scrap that from the list, but they were working on a multiplayer component for the game. I'm pretty sure they're gonna get that like done. They're gonna say we want to focus on giving you the best multiplayer single player experience. With that said, we're scrapping the multiplayer component of Cyberpunk. I really believe they're not gonna do a multiplayer component, which is fine. Honestly, it doesn't look like a game that really needs multiplayer, in my opinion. I think it would be fun, but would you really need like I don't know. Um, it pains me that to know that these developers are not done because now they're gonna have to work again, work their asses off to finish a game that they said
yeah.
a lot of times it's not done, it's not done, it's not done. But the higher ups really wanted the game out by now because we have delayed it too many
Which
times.
the thing is that like also they're like, oh, for money, and it's like, well, clearly this hasn't helped you guys because your
Yeah,
stocks are plump. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think that people were
a lot of
going to
people
see this game in this
and a lot of
state
people
and be
say,
like, it's fine?
and the
Like,
game sold really well. That's fine. Yeah, the game sold pretty well. But you're
mhm,
not counting the amount of people that are going to refund the game. Because now
yeah,
they're going to refund, so you're going to lose that money in a way or another. It's so bad. And by the way, apparently there was another bad news circling CD Projekt Red. I think they're like a platform where they sell games.
yeah. Good
Took
old
a
games.
game out.
They
Yeah,
removed, yeah, they
a
removed a
game
game
because
that was
of the
depicting some Chinese official or something in a
yeah.
sort of satirical light. And China was like, "Excuse me, you can't do that." And they're like, "Oh, sorry,
And
it's China."
they
Well,
conceded to the pressure.
yeah,
And
which
this
is
is
like
something
that's
that
the
this is
thing
kind of
you're
yeah.
gonna concede to.
Yeah,
Like,
this is something that kind of happened already
oh,
with other games. Like if you remember, there was a big like thing with Blizzard because of
yeah,
the Hong Kong situation.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, this happens, but like that's all there was on top of Blizzard. You have a lot of shit on top of your plate right now, CD Project.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the cherry on the top for. It's so it's such a bad situation. I really hope I pray for the developers that they get some nights off and to rest their eyes for them to not go blind in like 2 months because of how much they worked. Uh,
Yeah,
I pray they see their. They don't know, I bet they rather get corona than work at CG. Okay, that's really bad. I'm kidding.
yeah,
We just want to do this video because I think this was a huge situation in gaming that needed to be addressed, and me and Matt apparently are on the same page. We hope this serves as a lesson, so other companies take a look at this and don't do this. Don't do this. Mostly, I'm looking at you, Ubisoft and EA. Let's be honest, you two are like the bad kids of the bunch. Uh, I mean, no, a lot of companies crunch and overwork their workers, but we've never seen nothing like this. Well, actually, this reminds me of remember when they overworked the Cats special effects team. Remember that? That
yeah.
when the Cats came out,
And
I think
Cats the movie came
the
out, they
effects
like
team,
overworked them, and then
yeah,
they
they
became
overworked
bankrupt.
the,
No,
yep,
it's the same.
they
It's again,
overworked
it's.
the
I
effects
think
team.
that just speaks to a whole other thing of like fan entitlement and just crunching in the industry. But yeah,
I
basically,
just I just don't understand
hopefully
why
this.
didn't they cancel? Why didn't they delay in April when they knew that the game wasn't done and they knew that the game was gonna take way more time than they
Yeah,
expected? Why didn't they just delay it into
Be-
into
because
2021.
they're worried about their stocks. And to
And
be
they're
fair, their
worried, and they're
stocks
worried
did.
about the reaction because the game has been delayed over
Yeah.
and over and over again, and people are gonna get
And the
pissed.
thing is,
That's
again, they
yeah.
were saying, the developers were saying ever since the beginning, these deadlines have been unrealistic. So almost as if you should listen to your developers before you make a release date.
They could have done such a
Anyways,
cool approach. Imagine,
yeah.
like, we delay the game to 2021, but as a reward per se, you do like these like monthly updates where you show off the progress of your work. That's something I actually enjoy. I like when companies talk
Yeah, no, that
to their
would be really
fans
cool.
and keep you updated, and that can reassure you that the game is being worked on at its own pace, and it's
Hmm.
just like not delay. Like, I actually really like, again, I'm bringing this up because I'm a fucking chill, but the Avengers has the war table thing, and I think it's really cool. Like, every once
Hmm.
in a while they do these special videos telling you how the game is being what's the set of the game. I think the next war table is about the next gen upgrade because I think it's coming real soon, and it's about Hawkeye DLC, and they're going to probably announce the Black Panther DLC. And
Hmm.
I love that. I love that uh, they keep in touch with the fan base, and
Hmm.
that reassures me that they're actually working on the game.
Yeah.
So, like, honestly, I thought about selling my Avengers copy, and after all this, I'm actually considering keeping because I want to support them because I feel like they're really trying to support me in my entertainment per
Yeah,
se.
yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
this
Anyways,
is
yeah,
a fortunate situation.
basically, hopefully, this is a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
And I wish nothing but the best for the developers. I
Let's be
hope that
okay. Honestly,
hope that they're
on
okay.
your opinion, do you think the game will be fully playable in a year?
I think a year from now it will be playable. Yeah, but
I don't know, to
I
be honest. I actually
shudder
don't
to
know.
think. I shudder to think
I
at
would go probably like
what the
50-50, to
developers,
be honest.
yeah, like at what the developers are gonna have to go through because I don't.
It's not just one copy. You have to
Yeah.
fix the PC version. I think it's clear by their responses to
Mm.
this whole situation that they're gonna focus more on the PS4 and Xbox versions for
Yep.
now, and the
Hmm.
PC will go because that's one thing that I found really funny when they wrote their apology. They focused on the PS4 and Xbox version, and then at the end of the apology, PS, yes, we'll also fix the PC version.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you'll come after. You have a semi good version. Don't cry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh well. So hopefully this is a good lesson.
can't
And
wait
if
for the
yeah,
the Cyberpunk PS5 remaster coming early 2021. It's not gonna come out in
yeah,
early 2021.
good.
But yeah, this is. We just wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
Uh, it's kind of a heavy topic. I think that this is the heaviest topic we ever talked about.
Well, there was that
Re-
one time when we
The
thought
Ubisoft one.
Ubisoft was getting
Yeah, but that
hostage
was
crisis.
that was all taken out
Yeah.
of context because then, like 5 minutes
No,
after,
it was literally just like it was a prank, bro.
it's just a prank.
Anyway.
Apparently, it's
Anyway.
fun to prank.
So yeah, we've
Yeah,
talked a long time about this, but yeah, basically, to sum up, really crappy situation, and I hope that the developers will be okay, even though I think they won't be. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
maybe they maybe they will, maybe they
Now
won't.
now they need a redemption arc. We'll see.
They need a
We'll see.
redemption arc. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, they're gonna make
yeah,
Witcher 4 now, just to
yeah.
shut up people.
All
Anyway,
right.
I hope you enjoy this semi episode. I mean, it's almost 50 minutes long, so it is kind of an episode, a full episode. We really wanted
Yeah.
to talk about this topic, and apparently, what I foreseen happened, which is we spent the entire episode talking about it.
Has happened.
I hope you enjoyed. We have another one. We're actually going to shoot right after this one. We're going to talk about, since the year is about to end, we're going to talk about the 2021 games. So basically, Cyberpunk 27% is probably going to be in the conversation again. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.